from 2013 to 2000 to 2020. For 7 years, I traveled the country with the Book of Mormon. Wow. Funny show. Oh, man, it was just such a funny show. I played Jesus, and I played Joseph Smith, and I played Price's dad. I was in the dad roles now, and it seemed like a natural fit. I'd been a dad my entire life. Why not start being dads on stage? And I loved it. The kids in the show, they were like 20 years old, and they would come to me for advice and mentorship. They called me Broadway's Ron BOHMER, which I loved because it fed my ego, but it was also, I had a nickname. I felt like I belonged. I just loved it. We traveled the country making people laugh. It was a dream come true. That's why I stayed for 7 years. And then the pandemic hit, and the tour was canceled, and we all went home. The whole world went home. People lost so much during the pandemic. We lost loved ones. We lost health. We lost family members. We lost income. We lost houses. And I was so grateful. I was really grateful to be home and to be safe with my family and to be healthy. And my family was all healthy as well. But there was a loss for me. I felt like I'd lost my identity. I'd spent 30 years on stages in front of people singing, playing characters. And I couldn't do that anymore. If I'm not on a stage making people laugh, who am I? And the thing that always pulled me out of this kind of a depression was songwriting. I could turn to my songs, but nothing would come. I couldn't think of any metaphors for what the world was going through. And it didn't help. You would scroll social media and you would see posts from your friends, and many of them had been inspired during the pandemic. This one had a novel, and this one had a podcast, and this one had written a whole album of songs. And I was lost. Charles has a book. Charles shows them his crayons. Marie has the ball of Charles. Good for Marie. Charles misses his ball. George misses Marie. George misses a lot. George is alone. George looks around. He sees the park. It is depressing. George looks ahead. George sees the dark. George feels afraid. Where are the people out strolling on Sunday? George looks within. George is adrift. George goes by guessing. George looks behind. He had a gift. When did it fade? You wanted people out strolling on Sunday. Sorry, Marie. See, George, remember how George used to be, stretching his vision in every direction. See George attempting to see a connection when all he can see is maybe a tree, the family tree. Sorry, Marie. George looks around. George sees the park. George sees it dying. George too may fade, leaving no mark, just passing through. Just like the people out strolling on Sunday. George looks around. George is alone. No use denying. George is aground. George has outgrown what he can do. George would have liked to seen people out strolling on Sunday. I've nothing to say. Well, nothing that's not been said. I do not know where to go. I want to make things that count, things that will be new. What am I to do? Move on. Stop worrying where you're going. Move on. If you could tell where you're going, you've gone. You have to move on. I chose when my world was shaken, so what? The choice may have been mistaken, the choosing was not. You have to move on. Look at what you want, not at where you are, not at what you'll be. Look at all the things there are to see. Open up your eyes. Notice every tree. Notice every tree. Understand the light. I want to move on. I want to explore the light. I want to know how to get through to something new. Something of my own. Move on. Move on. Stop worrying if your vision is new. Let others make that decision. They usually do. Just keep moving on. Anything you do, let it come from you, then it will be new. Give us more to see. Thank you very much. Thank you.